Danny Flexen for Seconds Out, delighted to be joined by Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren. Once again, it seems like we're talking every day at the moment. I guess it's a developing story.
Yeah, it seems like that, Dan, doesn't it? Let's see.
I guess the big news, if you can call it news, well, it's pretty big news that you and Eddie Hearn had a telephone conversation yesterday following on from your open letter that you sent out earlier this week about a number of mouth-watering fights that you guys could potentially make together. You apparently left him a voicemail. He called you back. Just tell us generally the tone of the conversation, how long it lasted, and what you guys discussed. That's all right.
Well, it didn't last very long. You know, the message was short and sweet, and he called me back, and we had a very brief conversation, and we agreed that we're going to meet. He said, as far as he's concerned, he'll have to wait until he comes out of his bubble that he's in with his fight camp. And
apparently it's going to be sometime in September. Going to go for a bite to eat, apparently. Going to be Frederick.
Well, I'm hoping it's before that. I mean, at the moment, they're in, I think they're all in the Holiday Inn Hotel. So I don't mind going in the car park and they bring me out a Friday sandwich and we can have a chat out there. I don't care how it's done. I just want to get the meeting on.
Would that be your restaurant of choice, the car park with a Friday sandwich, or would you have a preference?
What? I don't give a shit where the meeting happens. I just want it to happen. It's not about food for me. The only food I'm in is food for thought, and the food for thought is what we put out there, and I want to make sure that we can try and do these fights between us. And we had a pretty, very short, but you want to call it pleasant conversation. So we are where we are, and we've spoken. So that's the main thing. I don't want to get into all the crap about what we're going to say when we meet and so forth. I want to make these fights happen.
Did it feel like a big moment? I know it sounds silly, but a lot of boxing fans out there will look at it and say, it's the first time they've ever spoke. Britain's two foremost promoters. This is a big deal. But did it feel like a big deal at the time when you were on the phone?
No.
I thought you might say that.
It wasn't no big deal for me. I just want to make some fights. That's all I care about, whoever it may be. You know, I deal with everybody. I dealt with his dad years. Him and his dad and I were partners at one stage many, many years ago.
What do you think, and that's an interesting topic you brought up, what do you think Barry would have told Eddie about you before going into these kind of negotiations?
We'd tell him what a nice fella
I am. Yeah. I'm sure he'd call you a tough negotiator as well, though, right? Shrewd operator.
Amongst other things.
Yeah, things we can't say on air. Now, while that was a positive step yesterday, a couple of statements from Eddie, both on video and written, that are slightly concerning. It seems to be this general tone that he's pulling a hand down to help pull you guys up as part of this process. What did you make of that?
Well, I was quite surprised he actually said that. You know, he's got a contract at the moment with Sky, which you understand he's got six months left on. He's got a contract with DAZN. I don't think they've even put a fight on yet. They're obviously in trouble. You know, DAZN, by the way, in the last few weeks, they've cancelled their rights deal with UEFA. They cancelled their Major League Baseball contract and the Serie A contract in mid contract. Their CEO recently left. There's stories every day about them struggling, like all companies are struggling at the moment. They're struggling, and they employ 3,000 people, and I'm sure that's very concerning for their staff, and no one wants to see them lose their jobs. Am I struggling? Do I need to pull him out of the hole? I've got the biggest TV contract in Europe, the longest TV contract in Europe with BT Sport. BT Sport, just to let you know who they are, because some people obviously don't understand who they are. They own EE, biggest telephone company in the country. They own all the pipes that you go and watch your broadband and TV and so forth. They own all that. They're a blue chip company. We've got a multi-year deal with them. So we're happy. We've got good fighters. We on our roster of fighters that we work with, we've got the biggest earning fighter and the number one fighter on the planet, Tyson Fury. We've got Daniel Dubois. We signed a new 5-year deal with. He is considered to be a lot of people the best young heavyweight prospects in the world of boxing. We've got numerous other fighters. Anthony Yarde. I'm going to go through all of them, and I don't mean disrespectful because I don't want to bore everybody. But we know what our roster of fighters are. They're very, very good fighters. We've got great young fighters. We've got dates on television. We've already run 3 shows already on television, on BT. 3 shows already, which is we were the first out there and got them on in very difficult circumstances. That's where we are. That's where we are. You know, he's saying that boxing's really in trouble, which is the comment he made, I think recently. And I was getting sort of vibe about that. It's a bit like his dad years ago said, boxing's dead, it's finished. And then at that time he said that, Sky basically cancelled his contract with Eubank. And then ITV dropped him out as well. He had no more fights on ITV, and he left the sport. Said it was all over. Somebody needed to tell Nassim Hamid and Ricky Hatton and all those other fighters that it was over, because that was like a golden period. So I hope that's not going to be the case, because I relish the competition, and they got some good fighters there that we can make some fights with our fighters. But from our position, one thing we're not is struggling. We've got years to run on our contract, not 6 months. You know, we're not, you know, we are with a blue chip, big company, you know, and to say that, you know, that what you know, people are in trouble. You know, I support Arsenal, as you know. They just made 55 people redundant yesterday. Pizza Express shut down 70 shops. Virgin's gone bust. The airline, they got into Chapter 11 in the States. And you could, a roster of people who've lost their jobs. That's trouble. That's real trouble. If you're in a bubble and you're not looking outside their bubble, that's what's happening in the real world. People are losing jobs. We're lucky in a position we're in. We're in a very lucky position, which is a very bad time for sport. A lot of football clubs are on the verge of going bust. So what we're saying now, we've dipped our toe in the water with our first 3 shows, which we said we was going to do. We said we was going to, they'd be at a certain level, which we've done. We now want to move on. We've got Cole Frampton fighting next week, so we're stepping up the game. We've got Daniel Dubois at the end of the month, so the game's really being stepped up. September and October, we're about to announce some other big shows. But we want to make bigger fights, and we want to make the fights that the fans want to see, which will ensure that the sport stays really relevant, and it's good for everybody concerned. He may feel, or Matchroom may feel, that they'll win some of the fights. All of them, I don't know. I feel that we've got a strong bunch of fighters here that can beat their guys. But at the end of the day, the only way we're going to find out is when we finally meet up, whether it's in a car park, whether it's in a lift, wherever it may be. I couldn't give a monkey's, as long as we meet to get this over the line, because that's all I'm interested in doing, is making these fights happen.
Regardless of the inaccuracy of his statements, were you disappointed that he seemed to feel the need to position Matchroom as the senior partner in whatever arrangement takes place?
Well, I think that's great for him. You know, if I was one of his fighters, like, you know, we always hear how much money Matchroom have in the bank. I mean, that's been his mantra for how many years now, since he's been in the sport. You know, Matchroom's a really successful company. That must be news to Andrade's ear. Andrade, he was told he's got to take a pay cut. Why you got to cut people's money if you've got all this money in the bank? Pay the man what you signed his contract for, amongst the other fighters. You know, when I signed many years ago, James DeGale, Billy Joe Saunders and Frankie Gavin for the Olympics, it was quite a lucrative contract. I gave them big signing bonuses, some of them, and they were getting massive purses, quite rightly so. Within 3 days of signing them, my broadcaster, Satanta, went bust. Now, did I go back to them and cry and bleat about it? That's show business. That's what we're in. I went and sold their first fights to Sky TV for £1. And thereafter, it was hard work getting everything back on track. But we did it. No one got their money cut. And if you've got all these resources and this cash, you know, bank of cash that you've got, this vault of money, then you've got to go and get your hat, go and open it up, get that combination, or lift your floorboards up, pull the money out and go and pay the guys.
So should he worry less about public perception in terms of who's more senior and all that sort of stuff? That kind
It's a load of bollocks. It's a load of bollocks.
Because you said about putting the egos aside, and that seemed like a bit of an ego.
Well, there we go. It's a load of bollocks. I don't care about that. You know, everybody, you know, there's people on here who don't like me. There's people on here who watch this stuff who don't like him. And you know what? Is it going to make any difference to my life? You know, what I do today? You know the answer to that? Zero. It's zero. All I care about is delivering some big fights. And for both of us, this is a great moment. You know, through all this terrible time that we're going through and how much, you know, the public and getting affected by this area, we have a chance to put some stuff together between us collectively. We've got a broadcaster in BT who are on the same page as us, as Queensberry, who say, let's go out and do this and make it happen. I know that Sky would like this to happen. So, and I'm sure he would. So let's get the fights on. Let's Matchroom Queensberry get it together by hook or by crook and deliver these fights. Whoever wins going to win. Whatever fights, you know, some will win, some of ours will win, some of ours may not win, we'll see. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Let's get them on, because it might lead to even bigger fights. We have a great moment in time now to do some good out of bad. Let's make it happen.
In his comments, he seemed more keen to focus on Joshua Fury, which is obviously a fight we all want to see, but a little bit maybe dismissive of the other fight. I say the other fights. Joshua Fury wasn't actually on the poster, but we all know that that's being discussed anyway. How did you feel about that? And also his comments about you being involved in the negotiations, kind of welcoming your involvement when you're already involved, which is a bit strange.
Well, the contract, we're top rank ourselves have a contract. You know, that's the end of it. There is a contract. So we have a promotional agreement, and the bottom line is that promotional agreement will be respected and honoured. You know, the reason that I know Bob's had a few conversations with him, but the reason he's been having a conversation, he done a fight with Pulev, with Joshua. Everybody was saying, you know, I've never spoke with him. Well, there I have. You know, all this nonsense now goes out the window, doesn't it? But whatever Tyson does, Queensberry is a partner involved in that. And this is fact, that's how it is. He fights like I told you. Remember, they were all going to work, they weren't going to be on BT. They're on BT. That's where we're at. And, you know, and let them get their respective fights out of the way. And then let's get that fight on next year. And it will happen. But I don't want to divert away from that. That's not what we put out. We all want to see that fight. The fans want to see it. You know, I don't want to hear all this stuff about Dillian White. Oh, we've got to get Dillian White in next, you know, before Tyson and AJ get it on. You're a boxing man. What fight do you want to see? Do you want to see AJ or Tyson against AJ, or do you want to see Tyson against Dillian White? What do you want to see?
Yeah, well, obviously Tyson AJ. Everyone's going to say Tyson AJ.
Run a poll on that. So I don't give a crap about that. So in the meantime, let Dillian fight Daniel Dubois, who's a novice. Let him fight him. And what a big fight it'll be. Everyone will go for that. And let Chisora fight Derek. I see Derek Chisora, by the way, yesterday in the West End. And I jumped up and I said, Joe Joyce is looking for you, and he drove off. So let's make that one. They're great fights for the fans. And by the time Tyson beats AJ, he can fight the winner of them.
Do you think a lot of this stuff, kind of focusing on the AJ Tyson thing and your involvement, talking about the Andy Ailing stuff as well in one of his statements, do you think it's all a bit of a smokescreen to avoid the actual fights you put out?
Well, we put them out and we've agreed to meet. So the fact we've agreed to meet is a step in the right direction. So I don't want to start making comment about it. I'm going to know what the feeling is when we meet, because the fights are there. The question is, why don't you do a poll and ask your viewers, do they like the fights that we said we can make? Do they like them? And if they like them, then we got to make them happen, because they're the guys who are going to buy the tickets, or actually, there won't be tickets at the moment, but they're the guys who are going to buy them. Some of them will be on pay-per-view. They're ones who are going to subscribe and watch them either on Sky or BT. And who knows, some of them might be on both channels. Who knows? It depends what we can do between us. Let's deliver. That's all I care. I don't care about the sideshow of what the crap about Andy Ailing. That's what, by the way, the board are going to have to make an issue a statement on this. So they'll have to make a statement, and people can make up their minds what really happened there, rather than all the bullshit that's being said. But the most important thing is to not be sidetracked by this crap. Tyson Fury and AJ, both of them have got commitments at the moment to make. They've got commitments for fights. Get out of the way. They both want the fight. We all want it to happen. We want it to be a 50-50 fight. That's where we are with that one. So let's just put that to one side. And the fights that we've discussed with the other fighters, all those great young fighters, a couple of old ones there, but all those great young fighters, and let's get them on for the fans. That's all I'm interested in doing. And there's no excuse for it not to happen, because we're meeting.
Well, you're putting the two old ones in with each other, so I think that's okay. No disrespect to Joyce or Chisora.
Well, listen, let's make there's old ones and there's some with not so many miles on the clock.
Good stuff. Well, I look forward to seeing you next week. Apparently there's a lunch, so we'll be having a bite to eat with you before Eddie Hearn does, but not a fried egg sandwich in the car park, hopefully. Well,
listen, he's welcome to come along to the lunch. I invite him to come to that lunch with us. He can get out, come to the lunch with us.
Good stuff. Well, the gauntlet has been thrown down once again.
It's not a gauntlet, it's an invite.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. We hope he does turn up. It's better for everyone, I think. But we'll see what happens with that. Good luck with everything. And we'll speak to you before the next show on the 15th.
Thanks, mate. Stay safe.
And you. Take care, Frank.